All right. So, first and foremost, I'm going to go ahead and dive right in with the shameless plug portion of the news tonight. So, as I posted and upset many of you this week, there were two potential awards. One we were nominated for, which was through Dr. Bicuspid for Dental Influencer of the Year. And the second is an opportunity to be recognized as a the second is an opportunity to be recognized as one of the top dental podcasts out there, and that's through dentalpodcast.org. So there were several opportunities this week as the year is winding down to start recognizing hopefully the best of dentistry in 2022. And I will be honest with you, when I saw our name, I just happened to stumble upon it when I was reading my Dr. Bicuspid newsletter for the month, and I saw our name on it. I was sort of flabbergasted. So I know I speak for all three of us when I say how just truly honored we were to even see our names on the list, how far we've come in just a short period of time, but two, how much we humbly would ask for your vote. They close on December 18th at midnight. It's a great opportunity to recognize not only us, but actually quite a few of the guests that have been on our show over the last 2 years, and their influence in dentistry, and some great products and great periodicals and articles that have been published as well in dentistry. So, really great chance to recognize some folks who are trying to do really good things for our colleagues. So, if you haven't voted, this is again my humble ask that you might consider to do so. That is through drbicuspid.com. And then the other one is dentalpodcast.org to recognize one of your favorite dental podcasts for the year of 2022. Now, moving away from our shameless plug portion of the dental news, do you guys all remember the dentist that got charged with murder when he was on an African safari? It's been almost 6 years ago that news story hit major headlines coming out of his African safari when they found his wife shot dead. Initially pleaded innocent. In fact, he still claims to the not guilty plea. There's been a lot of back and forth. I believe they no longer believe the not guilty plea any longer. He has been officially charged with murder and a few other international charges coming out of Africa. The interesting thing is this is now becoming a Dateline story. So I believe this will come out in December. A Dateline story on this particular dentist. I think there may have been a lot of interesting facts, both about the case, about his life before he went on the African safari, and how things have transpired since he returned home. So we don't always like to see dentists being in the spotlight, maybe in not such a glamorous way, but it is certainly fascinating that this case still has legs and still gaining national attention enough to become a Dateline story. So once we get the publication date for that, I'll certainly share that as well. There was an interesting article that came out, a white paper that came out of ADSO, which is a dental service organization support group, talking about the latest top trends that they foresee in the dental industry over the next few years. I don't think anybody would be surprised to see the four items that they've really identified in the article. Hiring and maintaining good quality staff was on the list. The interesting one that I thought was worth mentioning was that they see DSO support being really critical for new dentists coming out of school. So whether that is joining group and DSO style practices or opening their own practice in coordination with DSOs so that they have some type of co-ownership or co-relationship with DSOs in a more unique style of practice, it looks like DSOs are going to gain a lot of traction in our younger population. There also seems to be an increased focus on the oral systemic connection, and we're seeing a lot of that happening both in Medicare funding for oral and systemic diseases and their connection together. We're seeing that with the modification of the CDT code book in its entirety, adding modifiers that start to look a lot more like ICD codes, and lots of periodicals and research articles coming out on the oral systemic connection. So they see an increased trend with that as well. And finally, technology being the major driver for enhancement in dentistry. And I don't think many of us would argue with that as well. Lastly, Biden has extended his forgiveness for the federal student loan repayment portion. This is all tied into his student loan forgiveness package that he's still in flux with and trying to work out the details and the legality of that particular program. So, in the meantime, he's put a freeze on loan repayments, interest, and collections on those federal student loan repayment programs. That's now been extended to June 30th of 2023. So if you happen to own a student loan through the federal government, you should keep up to date about some of the forgiveness and or at least pause activity that's happening for those student loans. And lastly, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, if you're just sitting at your computer right now watching this show, you could have multiple tabs open like I do on my computer right now and could be voting for us on drbicuspid.com's Influencer of the Year.